We've talked a lot about Tyler Herro this season, mostly in a positive light. But I want to look over some of the things we saw against Cleveland last night in the loss. It was the second time they played Cleveland. It was the second time they lost, and it was the second time the length of Cleveland kind of impacted them. This is a unique Cleveland team because no matter the matchup they get with any other team, there's probably not a team that's going to run 3 7-footers in their starting lineup. Uh, so it's a bit different, but still, it's kind of just shows the differences that Tyler Herro has to make. Um, in general, he's basically came into the league with an ability to kind of dissect drop coverage. This season, we've seen him get into counters of switches. He's gotten counters of blitzes, which he's seen a lot of because teams continue to double him, and he's found, kind of figured that out. The one thing we haven't really seen him figure out is the length of a team like Cleveland in the 2 games they played. So I just want to go over some of the things we saw last night. The first thing is Spoelstra came in with a plan, and he knows that Herro was kind of impacted in that way with the length last game. Uh, so the first thing they did was kind of set some high screens, run some high pick and rolls just to give him more space on the floor, just more room to operate, and kind of spread out these 3 bigs that are on the floor every time he's out there. So as we see right here, it's a perfect shot. That's the shot he's taken all year. He misses this one, but he was getting decent looks early on. It was a great game plan. Uh, that's what you have to do against a team like this. They're going to keep trying to push you into the lane. And as you see right here, that's where things kind of went wrong. They were going into the regular offense with Herro on the strong side. They would drive him in. It's basically a funnel. Many of the times when they had the 3 bigs and they put Lauri Markkanen on him, happened last game before this one as well, where they basically dare Tyler Herro into the lane. Basically, the plan was to try to force him into there, and then they were just going to block off the rim. He started shooting more threes in that last Cleveland game. This one, it was just kind of a mess because things like this would happen where he would drive, he'd think he have an open lane, and then 3 guys would collapse. That's what's going to happen against teams like this. Another thing is just the way they kind of covered Tyler Herro. PJ Tucker had a great game. Like, that's another topic we could have just because of the offensive threat that he was in this game. But even last game, I kept saying that it felt like a PJ game just because of the way they have to defend PJ. For one, pulling a big 7-footer out to the corner is not something they're going to daringly do. They're going to just continue to tag, so PJ's going to have good looks. The other thing is there's going to be times where they just don't guard him. There's going to be times where they'd rather blitz a Tyler Herro and kind of figure things out. So as you see right here, we're going to see PJ right here. Tyler comes around. It's a quick double drag. Yurtseven rolls. Both are going to go to Yurtseven. PJ is just sitting here wide open on the wing. He's not a wing 3-point shooter. Like, you don't expect him to take that shot. He's not comfortable in that spot of the floor. But it's kind of messes things up for your offense when you have that, that much of an open floor and you're not taking that shot. It just helps. It enhances a Cavs defense. So right here, they flow right back into a DHO. He resists it. He gets it back to Tyler. And now there's 4 seconds on the clock. And Tyler has to kind of make a play. They're going to switch onto him with Jarrett Allen. And here's that length we're talking about. He has to take a really unorthodox shot, and it doesn't even hit the rim. The reason we could talk about a lot of things why the length impacts him specifically, it impacts everybody. It really does, especially when you don't have Jimmy or Bam. It's going to impact everybody. But the reason it impacts Tyler a little bit more, and I think he's able to figure out all those other coverages, and this one's a little bit tougher, is because of the way he creates separation. The way he creates separation is with his high release point. He can rise up over the top of so many defenders. You can't do that over a 7-footer. Like, the avenue of separation, rising up over the top of guys, cannot happen in this sense. So it's just a little different the way you can go about things. We're going to see right here, it's also turned into basically settling for jumpers. You have Kevin Love on you. It's an empty corner. Just look at all that space on the floor right here. There is absolutely every avenue you can explore right here. The defender on the opposite side should have crossed over and you should split the difference. They don't. That should be an quick, easy read to kind of attack right here and then force them to a tough rotation. Tyler kind of lets them get off the hook. He kind of lets them off the hook, and he takes quick step back contested jumper, almost makes it, but it clinks off the rim. It's just not a smart shot on a night like this where offense isn't the greatest. Your offense is coming out of PJ Tucker floaters that they're basically daring you to take. And he kept them in this time and time again, but you have to take advantage of these quick reads against a Cleveland team. The only way you can kind of get past length, like I said, is just quick reads. So that was something that didn't happen. We see in the fourth quarter, once again, Spo had a decent game plan again. They started figuring some things out, and that's why I don't know if Cleveland will be able to keep this up throughout the entire season. But let's say if Miami got in a 4-5 matchup with Cleveland, I think they'd be able to figure it out just because 7-game series, especially when you have Jimmy and you have Bam, it's different things you can do. But there's also things like this where you can pick up on some things. What they started to do was put both guys that were the bigs were defending on the strong side, and then they'd work it into the weak side. So they pull Kevin Love over, they pull Evan Mobley over on the strong side, and now you see Max Strus. They go back one more time. Max Strus is going to set a back screen for Tyler Herro to go down, and it's an easy look. Tyler Herro beats him there. Both bigs are on the opposite side, can't help over and go for a quick block. So it's an easy bucket. So there is counters to make in this game. They weren't making them. I think Tyler Herro with the quad injury, it was known as a thigh contusion. Some of that could have been impacted by it, but it has been 2 games where it kind of happens. It's not something I would be worried about long term with him trying to figure it out. He'll figure it out, especially because, like I said, if it wasn't a playoff series, you wouldn't worry about Spo kind of figuring out these type of counters. Even in this type of game, it was a close game. The only difference, the only stat that really stuck out was the free throw shooting. It was not, generally close. In this lineups that we're seeing, this 9-man rotation, there's nobody that can really draw fouls and reliably get to the free throw line other than Kyle Lowry, but he's not really doing that at this point of his career. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how the playoff matchups will work out, but Tyler Herro, this is going to be the next step. If he can figure out the length thing, when teams start to pick up on this, you may see some teams throw some of their lengthy, versatile guys onto Tyler just to see how he responds. And the next thing you're going to have to see is guys like Kyle screening, guys like Jimmy screening when he returns to try to pick up on those mismatches and get Tyler off of those guys.